Now, for more on global tobacco use, I'm joined by Matthew Myers, president of the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, Matt, let's look at this plain packaging initiative. What are really the goals of this?
The goals are to help us reduce the number of kids who start, because plain packages reduce the attractiveness of the package, to help adults who already smoke to consider more seriously quitting, and to help everybody better understand the health risks of tobacco use. It's worked in Australia. We've seen a dramatic decline in the number of kids who are starting. We've seen more adults recognize the seriousness of the problem and try to quit. And overall, we've seen a decline in tobacco use.
Now, some people might be wondering, especially if you're already a smoker and you're addicted, is plain packaging enough of a deterrent?
Plain packaging, as part of a comprehensive effort, has been shown to make a major impact. What it does is help people realize literally every time they pick up the pack the seriousness of the problem. Even smokers dramatically underestimate their relative risk. These pictures dramatize it in a way that words never can.
And the WHO also agrees with you. They announced on Tuesday that the plain packaging combined with health warnings and advertising restrictions could really help save lives and curb smoking. Now, tobacco companies, meanwhile, are pushing back, saying that it's stepping on their intellectual property rights and perhaps could even create a market for counterfeit cigarettes that could be even worse. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the argument on counterfeit cigarettes is simply foolish. It'll be very quick and easy to figure out which cigarettes are made by them and which cigarettes are counterfeit. The reason that tobacco companies don't like it is because it works. It uses the exact same imagery, the exact same marketing techniques that they've used to make cigarettes appealing to kids across the globe work for public health this time. The reason they're objecting is not because of intellectual property rights, but because they want to continue to market to young people in low and middle income countries like China, like India, and across the globe.
And we have seen that a number of countries with these tribunals, that these companies are being shut down, that a lot of these countries are adopting this.
Last month, we had two important decisions in Europe, which is what freed up the UK and France to move ahead. That's why we saw 3 additional countries announced today. What was once considered revolutionary is going to become standard practice, and it's going to be absolutely critical to the effort to ensure we don't have another generation of young people, particularly young, poor people in developing countries, addicted to tobacco.
And speaking of some of the countries involved, where are the countries that are really making strides and the ones that really need to perhaps do a better job when it comes to packaging and finding ways to curb smoking?
Well, this is actually a good news story. The majority of low-income countries have taken steps over the last 7 to 8 years. Indeed, the policies adopted in those countries over the last 7 to 8 years will probably reduce by at least 26 million the number of people globally who will die from tobacco use. But there are huge gaps. For example, China has 1/3 of the world's tobacco users, and with the exception of Beijing and a couple of other cities, does not protect most of its smokers from secondhand smoke. India continues to have approximately 1 million people a year who die from tobacco use. Unless we do something very, very quickly, up to 1 billion people could die this century from tobacco.
Now, some critics say it could be a slippery slope. You say have the alcohol industry. They also have a lot of packaging that could be colorful, perhaps marketed to a younger generation. Do you think this plain packaging law could perhaps set a precedent for other industries that are perhaps considered a danger to the public health?
You know, tobacco is really a unique product. It's the only product that, when used exactly as intended, kills 1 out of 2 long-term users. There's no such thing as a safe use of tobacco products. A person who smokes 2 cigarettes a day doubles the risk of lung cancer. You can't say that about any other product. That's the reason that close to 190 nations have already signed a global treaty whose goal is to reduce tobacco use. That's not true for any other product.
And so you don't think there's any sort of risk about fallout as long as people are actually using the product responsibly when it comes to things like alcohol?
No, I don't see a slippery slope. It's the argument the tobacco industry always makes in order to protect their product. Fortunately, our lawmakers can tell the difference between products that kill when used as intended or only cause harm when used in excess.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us, Matt Myers from the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, cctv-america.com.